Hello everybody, I'm Everman22. Today we're going to be talking about the Grand Army of the Republic, also known as the Clone Army of the Republic, because most soldiers in the Grand Army were clone soldiers. The main points I'm going to be talking about are rank, command structure, and standard military gear for each type of soldier. This is going to be in depth. If you don't know, all the clones in the Grand Army of the Republic are clones of Jango Fett, fearsome bounty hunter and Jedi killer. They're genetically engineered to be extremely loyal and competent in battle. Now then, let's start with the standard clone ranks. The first rank held by a clone is the Clone Cadet. This is a clone that hasn't yet passed the final test to become a full-fledged clone trooper. They're generally trained rigorously on Kamino, the clone homeworld. They study and train as children, and once they reach what passes as adulthood for clones, they perform the test that, should they pass, promotes them to active duty. Should they fail, however, or wash out, they will be forced to simple janitorial and maintenance duty. However, before the Jedi arrived at Kamino, the Kaminoans seemed awfully excited to simply destroy said troopers. Occasionally they're giving tours aboard military ships as hands-on experience. This unit is called the Clone Youth Brigade. They were guided by the Jedi, the bounty hunters, that Jango Fett initially hired to help train the clones, as well as clone sergeants. Initially, Jango Fett himself trained a number of them to be more efficient. They were known as ARC troopers, however we won't be talking about them for now. This is simply standard ranks. Among those overseeing the operations, the most notable was the Jedi mistress known as Shakti, Mandalorian Jango Fett, and the Mandalorian called Cal Skirata. They use special training blasters and miniguns that fire bolts of electricity rather than ionized bolts. Ionized bolts are essentially superheated plasma. During their training, they're equipped with special armor and helmets, as well as ascension cables. The next clone rank is simply called Trooper, or Private, and is the rank given to clones once they complete their training as cadets. They are given standard issue DC-15 blast rifles. These rifles use Tabana gas and shoot ionized bolts that are damaging to both organics and inorganics like droids. And that is the main reason that these rifles were adopted for the Clone Army of the Republic. They can be shot at different power settings and have approximately 300 shots at full power and 500 shots at low power. Another weapon that the clones could use is the DC-15A blaster rifle. They are far smaller and less powerful than the regular DC-15, though they have the same ammo capacity and lesser range. They can also be outfitted with sniper scopes that are connected to the holographic data readouts inside a clone helmet. Clone troopers also carried standard issue droid popper electromagnetic pulse grenades, which had a 3-meter blast radius and were primarily effective against droids and vehicles, though could still electrocute those with cybernetic enhancements. And if they rolled at the right speed, could bypass a droidec's shields, making them more effective than blasters. They also had a V1 thermal detonator, which was smaller than most other thermal detonators, and because of that had a smaller blast range. Most thermal detonators' shells was made of thermite and oxidite, and inside that was a tiny bit of baridium, a highly unstable energy substance. That trigger forced the baridium into fusion reaction. The result was that anything in a radius of 5 to 6 meters was atomized. They also had LXR-6 concussion grenades, which usually came in 3 types: physical, anti-armor, and sonic. They could also train in heavy weapons such as Z6 rotary blaster cannon and the RPS-6 rocket launcher. Now for the armors. There were 2 types of armor standard clone troopers used. The first was the Phase 1 armor. This was the armor clones used at the beginning of the Clone Wars, and was designed by Kaminoan armorsmiths as well as Jango Fett himself, which is why it closely resembled Mandalorian body armor. It's made of 20 lightweight, form-fitting plastoid alloy composite plates sealed within a black bodysuit, which means they could operate sparingly in the vacuum of space. Plastoid was the material Darth Vader's suit was made of, but of course, plastoid was extremely expensive, so they had to dilute it with other materials in order to make it more cost-effective, thus resulting in lesser protection. Kaminoans see in ultraviolet and can detect colors that humans can't, and as a result of that, the armor was a pristine white, though units generally had stripes of color denoting rank. The armor was heavy, uncomfortable, and not very liked by clone troopers. It was referred to by non-clone personnel as a body bucket, and I'm sure you could see why. Its flaws were a result of the Kaminoans' lack of knowledge about humans in general. It was essentially one big prototype by the Kaminoans. The armor had some customizability, however. It could take some modular attachments like a backup pack for a medic, a flamethrower for ARC troopers, rangefinders, pauldrons, commas, enhanced comms gear, and jetpacks, as well as flashlights and shaders, as well as a backpack attachment that allows you to carry more ammo or grenades. The helmet also wasn't polarized. It also had coolant systems to prevent overheating and enhanced breathing filters in the helmet, so it wasn't completely awful. The other armor that clones used was the Phase 2 armor, and as you can tell by the name, this armor was far superior to its predecessor. It had all the features of the Phase 1 armor with some improvements. For example, it was more modular, which meant it could be equipped with more attachments. The armor plates were lighter and stronger, making it less cumbersome. It had more advanced air filters and oxygen systems, meaning it can operate in the vacuum of space longer. It also had an annunciator, which made speech clearer, because as it turns out, talking to someone without a comms link with a pocket on your head is a bit difficult. Boots were also magnetized. If they were fresh soldiers and had little to no actual experience fighting, you could tell from how shiny their armor was. And because of that, most rookies were called shinies, by the more experienced stormtroopers. The next rank after trooper or private is corporal. They are usually second in command, and attain this rank by showing leadership capabilities and training. They are usually more competent than regular troopers, but were still rather short when it came to combat experience. Some were allowed to customize their armor, especially to mark membership with their squad or battalion. They usually carried the DC-15 blaster rifle like other rank-and-file troopers. The next rank after corporal is sergeant. They command squads of 9 clone troopers. During Phase 1, their armor was striped in olive green on their helmets and torsos, as well as 4 pastel-colored circles on the left chest plate. They had the same weapons as regular troopers, but were more experienced with them. They were usually veterans of various battles and had more training than the standard trooper. However, the problem with the Phase 2 armor is that most clones decided to customize their armor, so it was hard to tell ranks apart. The next rank after sergeant was lieutenant. And during Phase 1, they had blue stripes marked on their armor. However, during Phase 2, they wore armor to distinguish their division and not rank. They commanded platoons comprised of 4 squads or 36 troops, and they often reported to their captains. They sometimes had additional gear that allowed them more tactical information like macro binoculars and external antennae for better communication. There were also second lieutenants that were ranked below regular lieutenants. They could also command platoons, but had less experience than full lieutenants. The rank after lieutenant is captain. The captain being most famous is CT-7567, also known as Captain Rex of the 501st. Captains lead companies of 144 clone troopers that were divided into 4 separate platoons of 36 troopers each. Initially, they wore armor striped in red with 4 maroon-colored circles on their chest. Later in the war, however, each captain customized their own armor, and because of that, there were many variants, usually each one being unique in and of itself. This of course made it easier to tell captain from captain. Each captain had their own weapon preferences, though a good few liked to dual-wield DC-17 blaster pistols from Blastech Industries. Those bad boys could fire 50 shots before needing to reload. Some captains had additional ARC trooper training. The next rank after that was commander. So yes, Commander Cody was Captain Rex's superior. They usually led regiments of 2,304 clone troopers in 16 separate companies, each having 144 clone troopers in it. Sometimes, however, they led smaller regiments and battalions. Essentially, whenever a Jedi needed a group of clone troopers, a clone commander would usually join them. They were trained in the use of and usually carried heavy blast rifles, which were one of the most powerful types of blast rifles ever made. However, the one drawback of that power was that it could only fire 30 shots before reloading. They could be fired single shot or automatic, and the max range was 225 meters. Every clone commander was trained by ARC troopers to make them more independent and free-thinking. If the Jedi they were serving died in combat, they were to assume command. Now then, the highest rank a clone could ever get was a clone marshal commander. They commanded 4 legions with a Jedi general. They worked closely with that Jedi general and were second in command. If their Jedi general died, they would assume command until a new general was assigned. Each legion being comprised of 9,216 troopers each, or 4 regiments. A legion is also known as corps. A few notable clone marshal commanders were Commander Cody, Commander Bly, Commander Bakara, and Commander Apple. Every marshal commander customized their armor to his liking. All I have to say is, who's your favorite clone? I'm Everman22. Please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a nice night.